Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Vanucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Or no, I just kind of like just go.
We are grab a drink. So if you want a chance to grab a coffee or
we don't plan
or something, we don't plan. We just kind of like it's all about the conversation.
No plan. Listen, I'll give you how bad it is. About 10 minutes ago, I asked him. I said, "What are we doing today? Who is this?" So I had to go online to figure. Oh yeah, okay. I sort of remember we were talking about a supplement company, woman owned. But honestly, like.
I don't think you judged my Launchpad. So I won Launchpad for Up and Away, 100% boric acid. And we were the very first boric acid kit in North America. So I had the whole audience scream vagina. It was a great time.
That's amazing.
And actually, I see you're a mentor at the forum. So I'm actually speaking at the forum summit next week.
No
and
way.
I'm actually using that story. Yeah, I mentor at the forum as well, but I'm using that story and how that product came to be. So it was my ex. So it's called, the whole talk is turning rock bottoms into revolutions. And so my ex-boyfriend had cheated on me, who I was with for didn't get the memo on monogamy, gave me chlamydia,
Missed that part.
caused me to have bacterial. I know, great partying gift.
Awesome.
And this is before I started my brand. And of course, like I was just devastated. My mom, I go through the whole story of like being on the floor, just bawling. And my mom's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm like, it is not okay. And then 2 weeks later, I found out I had chlamydia. And I'm like, it's definitely not okay.
It's really not okay now. Like,
right?
what the heck?
And then I finally found a gynecologist. I kept getting bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections after that because of the antibiotics had decimated my pH.
Right.
So then antibiotics. I'm like, this is insane. I've been in this industry for 20 years. And I finally scored an appointment with a gynecologist and she was like, boric acid. I'm like, what? I'd never heard of this. I drove from compounding pharmacy, finally had somebody make it for me, used it, and it was taken care of. 5 years later, I'm driving across the Lionsgate Bridge. I know exactly where I was coming from North Van into Vancouver. And all of a sudden I just had this, is anybody selling this? Pull the car over immediately, start looking. Nobody sold it. It used to be in retail years ago. And so we filed the NPN. And then we decided to take it a step further and become the first kit in North America. And that's a whole other story, sourcing boxes and applicators. And I got the wrong size. I have like 3,000 of the small wrong size. We put the pill in the bottom and you like literally hit the end and it goes launching across the room. And I'm like, that is not the visual anybody wants.
Who's going to touch that product?
Right. And so then, and then I was making my duvet bed because I didn't want it to have like a gyna or a vagi name, because then it sounds like something that you should tell your last 10 partners to get tested about. So there's one on the market called like Gyna Laugh or Gyna Lack or Gyna Trough or something. It's just horrendous. So I'm like, oh my God, like that's horrible.
Why don't we just call it really deep probe while we're at it? Well,
and so what I was making my bed, and the duvet was like mid-flight and I went up and away. And I'm like, up and away, because you put it up and it goes away. So,
that's so funny.
And then I had everybody at Launchpad scream out vagina every time the word came on the PowerPoint, which to this day I still have people walk up and go, vagina! And they're like, your pitch was the best pitch ever. And so that's what I'm going to do in my talk next week, is every time the word vagina comes up on the screen, they all have to yell out vagina. People love yelling that word. And so kind of the end is, I took one of my very rock bottoms, and not only did it change my life, but it's one of our top 3 best-selling products. It's changed impact women all across Canada. And I say, what did I say? So if life gives you lemonade, you not only create lemons, you make lemonade, you plant the seed and culture the grove. But then if you're me, you bottle it up, you scream out, vagina, and you sell it to the world. So
that's so funny.
So that's the pitch. That's the story next week. But yeah, that's where it kind of came from, was up and away. So that's my rock bottom to my revolution. So yeah.
But it's a cool story again, because it's one of those stories again. You had, because we've talked to so many people. It's always a personal, not always, typically a really personal thing that you probably don't want to talk about, don't want to think about, but you have to deal with. And then you think, wow, bullshit, I'm not the only one. There's so many people that have issues like this. Fuck it. I should be out there telling people, because this is important for us to talk about.
Well, it's true. I agree. And there's an Instagram post that says, "Have you even had sex if you haven't caught chlamydia yet?" And my mom, when I told her I was going to talk about it, she's like, "You're not actually going to tell everybody you got chlamydia." I'm like, "Oh yeah." When I'm in talking to retailers, because I'm in like 5-10 stores a day, when I tell them this, everybody resonates. Every woman's like, "God damn it, I had somebody cheat on me." Like everybody has some sort of connection to that, of betrayal, where they're like, ah. So,
and again, like you said though, but even if they don't, I mean, you need to know stuff, right?
yeah.
Like you can't bury your head in the sand, old school, and
I know.
that just doesn't happen. Yeah, that happens a lot. So let's
Well,
move on.
no,
That
it shouldn't happen, right? It shouldn't
Yeah, it
happen.
shouldn't
happen. That's a whole different
But it
We're
does.
concept.
supposed to be in an
Yeah.
age where we can talk about this stuff, right? But
Absolutely. Should be in an age where you wouldn't have to worry about it because you shouldn't be cheating on people. That's
exactly.
That's another discussion.
The best part is I don't even know if he knows the products because of him, but he owns a supplement store. He does now. And the best, but no, yeah, he will after that. But the best part about it is I was like, God, I hope one day he has that product on his shelf and he literally has like no clue. That would be like the ultimate revenge. If he's like, "Up and Away is my best-selling product," and he has no clue that it was like him.
Even the funnier part is you go into the medicine cabinet of his wife or partner,
yes, exactly,
and it's actually in. You're thinking, "Hey, what's this? Oh, by the way, this is because of you."
Yeah, exactly. That would be the best part. And I say in the end, I've never, and in the talk, I'm like, I've never been so grateful that somebody cheated on me and gave me chlamydia.
Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you, as bad as that sounds, you're probably got a lot of other women out there that are thinking the same thing. Better you than me, but thank God that you took it a step further and actually gave us a way to,
deal with it. Yeah.
Deal with it, fix it, whatever you want to call
yours
it.
Right? Is yours is like the Sam Smith story, right? The Sam Smith, the music artist.
Oh,
his,
no.
His first album is because of a breakup, right? So that album that went like just ballistic was because of a breakup. So
all Adele's albums, I think Adele sings about
when he went up, like I think he was like best breakup ever, and he was like holding the
right. There you go. I mean, I don't know. I've had some of and I look at so many different points in my life too, and I think that's when you're talking to entrepreneurs and I get them to do that. It's like, think back to all the different things that have happened. Those rock bottoms have led to, you creating something or wisdom or all these different things. And no matter what you're going through, and now I've gotten so much better and be like, okay, what's the lesson here? This is exciting. I'm going to learn something out of this. All right. So I embrace anything that comes in as a roadblock because I know what it's doing is preparing me to be better and to accomplish more and to rise up. So I'm like, all right, universe, bring it on. Let's deal with this. What are you going to teach me now?
Well, I think it's good though. Your attitude's good because I think sometimes, and so we should, because it's a human instinct. Like it's a flight. You don't want to go into adversity or into problems, but sometimes shit happens.
Yeah, no,
and shit happens. Guess what? You have to deal with shit that happens. So you kind of, how do we do this? Like, so, and if I can do it so that you two don't have to go through it, then good for all of us. Or if I can mitigate, your trauma that maybe I had or whatever. So
no, I totally agree.
People do take it the extra step because what most people are like. We just don't. Yeah. Well, first off, we want to talk. I'd probably be more like your mom. Think, okay, we just don't talk about that. It didn't happen, and if we don't talk about it, for sure it didn't happen, and it'll all go away and we'll be good.
Well, I just find the response when I talk to customers in stores and I'm like, would you like to hear the story how this product happened? They're all like, oh, do tell. And then when I tell them, they're laughing, they get a kick out of it. And I think a lot of the time too, I've been an account manager for 20 years almost. I worked for Body Plus. Going into my stores is one of my favorite things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Did we lose her?
We lost her just for a minute.
Just as soon as you get a good story.
Before she comes on again, we should tell everyone who she is. So we have Aeryon Ashley. She's the founder of Aeryon Wellness. So Aeryon is Aeryon Wellness.
You see right over her shoulder there if you happen to be watching.
Yeah. So and she, you just heard like a wicked opening.
That was a first for us. Like, wow. I learned more in 30 seconds. About her than I probably would have ever imagined that I would have learned from anyone.
Yeah, I know. So that was kind of
and
amazing.
Yet it felt okay. It was very comfortable. It wasn't.
Yeah. So
hopefully we'll get her back.
There we go. Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay, what we did while you were gone? We just introduced you because we figured, okay, she's not here anyway.
Yeah.
So
we
we've
said
done that part.
The
so
lady
we
with
now know
chlamydia
who
that was on just
we're
now
talking to.
was.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you know what? They're going to listen. They're going to be like,
Yeah, they are.
who is this person with
What?
chlamydia? We must tune in.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because we hit record typically before we start, and we don't
Yeah.
tell people because a lot of people don't have, like most people we've had on have never done podcasts or interviews, so they're all freaking out and they're all getting organized, and we're thinking we've been recording for 10 minutes. You can breathe. It's all good in the hood.
It helps people settle a little bit, right? Because
just calm it down. Like it's coffee talk. Like we're not. First off, we're not that bright. We're not going to make it that complicated. So just bring it down. It's all good in the hood.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I've done a lot of podcasts, and so I've done a lot. I have my own podcast too, so we're good.
You do? What's your podcast?
It's called The Friends You Keep, and so that's part of my 5 pillars of Aeryon Wellness: the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, daily movement, nutrition, and then lastly, supplementation. Because if you don't have the other 4, supplements are not a magic pill. So, and the friends you keep are a really important part of that.
Oh, I see you. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So plug for you, and we'll put your links in the podcast notes. But Friends You Keep, you can find it. Looks like you can find it everywhere, and Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, it comes up as Apple Podcasts on mine right away.
Folks on here.
Yeah,
we love Sarah Goodman.
I know she's great. She's great.
Amazing.
The last one was good on
Sober
Life. Sober Life girl. I have Mint Cleaning, the girls from Mint Cleaning this month. And I also have Alex from Kid Productivity. She's done a really cool thing up in Kelowna where she has this high level, like they have Pelotons. You can order food to your desk, but they have daycare below, and up top they have where you go work. So as a parent, if you're in like a
also like shared office space, but
yes, but it's like high level.
Parent.
Yeah, but it's high level. So you can drop your kids off, and they're open Saturdays. So you can go into work and drop your kid off. And they're registered too. So they're all the way to pre-kindergarten. Drop your kid off, go upstairs, and they have like massage, like they have everything. You can
but I don't have to leave the building. So I've got Junior downstairs. I'm there at least.
Yeah, and if you're a new mom and you have to nurse, you can go downstairs and nurse because they do babies.
Oh, come on.
Baby, yes, isn't that ingenious?
How does that take so long to figure that? That doesn't sound that complicated. Really?
There's a chef on site who makes and she was like in the office and she's like, oh, this week we have this on the menu and you can custom order all your food, like really cool stuff. So I'm talking to her that one's coming out in February. But yeah,
that's better than being home.
Yeah, that one's it's out. I can see it on your.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it came up like a couple of days ago. But yeah, that's really so. It's kind of neat because U.S. companies do this, but they do them in town formats. Like when I worked for Johnson & Johnson, and you went to Skillman in New Jersey, the whole town was basically Johnson & Johnson, right?
Oh wow!
And you have this enormous complex, but so they had daycare on site, and then. They had a cafeteria on site, but the cafeteria would also cook you dinner. So if you were going home and you were working late, you could call down and they would make you stuff so that you could take it home so you could feed the family. But I've never seen it done besides in a format like that, like where the company, it's the company and that's it. So this is.
I think it's a really cool idea. I mean, good for her.
And she's opening her 3rd location. She's her and I, how we connected, we both won the Total Mom Pitch. So and the Total Mom Pitch is just an absolute disaster. Like I had to serve her legally to get my money. It was just a nightmare. So it's awful. It's like such a scam. And so I reached out to Alice because she was the 2022 winner, and I just said, hey, just wondering, how did using all your prizes go? And she's like, she still hasn't paid me everything. I barely got any of the prizes. It took me a year. And she goes, and actually 2021 is the same experience too. So then Julie, her and I all kind of created this group and we became friends because of it. So we talk about the Total Mom Pitch on this podcast.
That you keep.
Right? It becomes a friend you keep.
I like it.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Exactly.
What a cool premise for a podcast. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Well, the friendship matters, right? Who you have in your life directly impact shape who you're going to be, right? We are the sum of the people we hang out with. And I think if anybody's even looking at health and wellness and they're looking at wanting to change something, be it go to the gym or, eat better or all these different things, you have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded and who will encourage you to do the same thing.
Exactly.
Otherwise you can still do it, but it still gets a lot more challenging if you have somebody who's like, come on, let's go out to the pub.
That's
let's have
right.
some drinks. And you're like,
and that's not to say our parents were right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Well,
not
no, of
saying
course
that.
not.
We're
Right.
not saying that.
No, but that's true, right? Like
It is true.
I
Like, if
hang
you think
around
about it,
Kenny because Kenny and I both love food, we love these podcasts, we love retail stories, we're fixated on these things. But then when I'm working out, I can't hang around Kenny because Kenny
No.
will talk about food and pork rinds and why salt and fat on fat is really good for you, and all of those things are bad for losing weight, right? So
Might not be good for you, but they're good. They're
it's part of
tasty.
cooking. I'm
Well,
telling
listen,
you. You know what?
listen,
I always
it's
tell people
good for the soul, and then there's like, what's good for the soul isn't always good for the body. Like you got to reconcile some of those differences and just decide where you're going to be, right? So
or just do the moderation thing that we all gravitate to.
The 80-20 rule works really well. 20% of the time, you do what you like. 80% of the time, try to have some sort of resemblance of a.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I think I got those reversed.
I thought it was the other way too, and that's what I'm staying with. So I'm good with the
Whatever
80-20
works for
rule as well.
Well, you learn something every podcast.
There you go. That's my tidbit of wisdom.
You know what we should do though? If we can rewind just a little bit,
Sure.
maybe tell us a little bit about you. Like I kind of love that. I feel like we could do this for a couple of hours, but we'll work on that too, because we can totally come back and just do this again. But maybe because we don't know anything about you, right?
We know how the product started, but I don't know what you
a little bit about the podcast now, how you got to some of the products, but would love to kind of hear a little bit about you and your journey, and then we can jump into a bit about the business as well, because I think all of those things our listeners would definitely want to hear about. But and then we'll talk about hanging out somewhere so we can do more talking.
Well, yeah, I'll be at CHFA for sure. I'm in the Purity Isles, and I know you're going to be there because you're
Be there,
have to be.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I started. Let's see, when I was 3. No,
You can go back as far as you want. It's your show. Free if you want, whatever makes you happy.
let me get my list of things that I have.
And be nice to mom. That's
Always nice to mom.
That's always be nice to mommy.
So let me see. So when I was growing up, my mom was a competitive figure skating coach, and my dad was a hobbyist bodybuilder. So athletics and aesthetics, super important in my household. And I was a very chunky kid. And so at the time, my parents really grappling kind of what to do with me. They tried to limit my eating, all sorts of things. They put me in Weight Watchers at 13. And I think about it now, and my mom is mortified now, I mean, in hindsight, but she thought, well, maybe this will give her some tools to eat better. And I remember sitting in that meeting going in, everybody in there was like midlife and 20s. And I remember kind of being like, I'm too much and not enough at the same time. And from that, about a year later, one of the kids in my school, and I still know him to this day, he told me about his sister who struggled with anorexia and bulimia and how she was super thin and the family didn't know what to do. And my little 14-year-old brain, I went, that is the winning ticket. I'm like, holy crap, I can like throw up and like get skinny and eat all the food that I want. So that really embarked me on a 25-year relationship, or a horrible relationship with food in my body.
Relationship, right?
And bulimia and anorexia. And in my late 20s, then I found fitness competitions, which were almost like glorified eating disorders for me, because the skinnier I got, the more accolades I had. And in the time that I'd be competing was the only time I wouldn't binge and purge, because everything was so strict and regimented. So, and I always hated when I fell back into it. So I just kept competing. So I'd do 4 to 5 shows a year. I was constantly competing. And I had kind of I was off the competing. I remember I had one of my moments where, I mean, and it's like anything, I think when you struggle with any addiction, it's, it's going to be Monday, it's going to be your birthday, it's going to be Christmas. It's all the different points. You're like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get a hold on this. And I, again, had found myself, I'd binged, and I went upstairs to purge. And my daughter was about 2.5 at the time. And it was the very first time she almost walked in on me and locked the door. And I remember thinking it was like the first time she'd been locked out of the bathroom. So she's like kind of pounding, like, Mommy, what are you doing? And as I rose up and I caught the reflection in the mirror, my eyes are watering. And I just like, oh my God, if I don't get a hold of this, this is going to be her. She is going to have the same issues with food in her body as I did. And so then I really started to take a step back. And, ironically enough, I was a holistic nutritionalist. I'd been in the supplement industry at that point for like 13 years. I knew what to do, like all the things, or so I thought I knew what to do. But I think also growing up, the era I grew up in, health and wellness was dictated, at least in my household, was the size of my pants. So I really had to shift that narrative of what true health and wellness was. And when I did a step back, I began to look at what it really meant. And it meant not only, what I was eating and my movement, my relationship with movement. It meant also my people I hung out with and the support network that I had in my life. It also, and more importantly than anything, and that's why it's the first pillar of my brand, it was the thoughts I was thinking, cognitive behavioral therapy, because that will really determine if I'm going to follow through with something or I'm not going to follow through with something. And I really started working with cognitive behavioral therapy and the narrative that was spinning in my mind surrounding my body and my relationship with food and my relationship with exercise. And so when I began to work on all of those together and kind of get myself back on track, I started looking, and I was in the supplement industry, looking for something that not only appealed to what I believe holistic health is, which is all these things together, but also really had the clinical doses that I really wanted. And there was nothing on the market. And I love my industry dearly, but I find there's a really big, buy this and everything will be better. Yeah. And I wanted to create a different brand. I wanted to create a brand that said, yeah, you know what, this is a great product and we've given you everything we possibly can. But if you put these 4 other steps, the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, daily movement, nutrition, and then supplementation together, then you can really find sustainable health and wellness. But there is no magic pill. And so how we translate that message is we're the only company doing it. You scan a QR code on the front of our bottles and there's a complete program. There's meal plans, workouts, affirmations, tons of education in there to support our customers. The things I would have looked for back then, even though I was in the industry, but to have something like that tool that I can walk away with. And it also supports my retailers where they're in the store. If they have changing staff, the staff can watch the video for 2 minutes, learn about the product quickly. But if they're busy on site, they can also say to the consumer, hey, scan the QR code, watch the video, I'll be right back. And when their customers leave the store, they have in their hand what they need to make the changes needed to create a new life for themselves. That's really the goal. So that's a little bit of how we got here.
Wow. That's interesting because the industry, I've been in this industry for a long, long time too. When I first started buying vitamins and supplementation was my first categories. So this is 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. Well, whatever it was, a long time ago. We'll just go with that.
It was a while ago.
It's, you know what, but the whole concept of the miracle in the bottle, and this is the only thing you take, was prevalent. I think for a large part to your point is I still think a lot of, if you watch any advertising, print, digital, TV, it's still about that. Take this will cure everything. You're thinking, okay, really, we should really try to get off this narrative because there isn't nothing that's going to do all of it. You do need all the other things, but supplementation is an important and a really good part of an overall plan.
Yeah. But it's there to supplement you.
Most brands don't.
So that's the big thing.
Yeah, but you're a little bit abnormal on that one, right? Because really, most will just say that just do this and you'll be all good in the hood. They don't tell you that you can do this plus bing, 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 because those are equally as important. They all have to work together. It's sort of not what the industry does. We do really try to just do one thing. Did we lose our?
I'm back.
It's all good. It's all good. We're just saying it's just because it's just a very interesting approach because it's not really the norm. It really isn't.
No.
The norm is take this, whatever it is, just exercise all day. Well, yes, that's true, but you have to eat and you have to do other things. Well, just eat this all day. Well, no, you need to exercise like you got to do.
Yeah. And it's all these, the studies and research show, with cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, a big conversation I'm having right now is perimenopause and menopause. Those who view menopause in a negative light, shockingly, have a crappier menopause. So let's really peel back and really start taking responsibility for also the narrative that's going on in our head and working that muscle the exact same as we go into a gym. So when that stuff shows up about, I'm not worthy enough. Oh, this diet never works. Oh, I can never achieve this. Or, this is a horrific time in my life. Learning to shift that narrative constantly. And it takes work, just like working muscle, right? So that's why that's the first pillar of our brand is the thoughts you think. Yeah.
I think, that's a common thread. So it's funny because we've had folks on and a couple of these themes are the same. Menopause is one of them. Sexual wellness is another one, right? We have good friends of the podcast that run pleasure pods. Right?
They won last year.
They did. And
great
it's
job.
the same conversation, right? Is we don't want to talk about this, but we really do because it's funny because we were talking about that with them and we were talking about how men and women view these things like completely opposite sort of sides of things, right? Is like men look at lube and go, it's going to be a great weekend, right? Women look at lube and go, it could be fun, but then the other parts of this is like UTIs,
is this going to cause any issues?
It's going to be itchy all weekend. I'm going to have a rash. I'm going to have other stuff. Like, just not sure it's going to be worth all the fun, right? Like, and you kind of look at it and go, huh. And then menopause is another one of these that, both of us have worked on women's health for, I don't know, on and off for 20, 30 years, I think. Right. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of go, this is one of those categories. It happens to every woman, but we just never talk about it. Like, how can this be a thing? Right. Like, it's
and that's
wrong, right. Like, and then men go, oh, this is a terrible time. You got to stay away. But the flip side is if you help them and you learn as much as you can, even as a guy, and you help them through the nutritional, the supplement bits and all that kind of stuff, menopause isn't a terrible time, right? Or it can be a less terrible time, right? So it's like,
well, one of the things, and I talked to my daughter, I have a 15-year-old as well. And, I had her and all her friends in the car, much to her dismay.
Oh, I'm sure she was just thrilled.
So happy. And I'm like, girls, I want you guys to understand that your period is a real gift. I mean, I'm not going to discredit anybody who's suffering with endometriosis or something but for the most part, your period is a gift. Because what it's going to teach you, every single month you get a report card that's going to show you what's going on in your body. And if you're having a really hard period right now, crampy, lots of really tough time, take a look what happened last month. How stressed were you? What was going on? Did you have regular bowel movements? Did you exercise? Like, what are the things that were happening that contributed to this? And I go, and if you can really view it in that lens as a gift, it's going to really enable you to make different health choices and be like, hold on a second here. And so in that, I was saying that to the girls, they're like, oh, I'm like, it's a looking glass. It's that magic little looking glass. You can go, okay, what's going on with my body right now? And
I've got your daughter's visual in my head, just thinking, Jesus Christ, Mom, like, really?
Yeah, that's exactly what she's thinking.
Really?
When her friends got out of the car, she's like, really?
Really, like, this is what we had to lead with today, right? You couldn't talk about sports. You had to go here.
I have a small car, so we're all in there. The Volkswagen, 4 of us. So it's not like it's a spatial vehicle where they can we're all like huddled. So so it was really funny. But I also talk to women in perimenopause right now. If your perimenopause is really symptomatic, so I was going to say, if your perimenopause is really symptomatic, this is an opportunity for us to step back and take a look, because if we're not paying attention to the issues that we're having during this time, this is a really important time. If we're not paying attention to those issues later in life, osteoporosis, type 2 diabetes, musculoskeletal issues, prolapse, there's all these different things that can happen. So really stopping and being like, hold on a second here. I'm having some really symptomatic issues right now with my perimenopause. So what do I need to do to pay attention? I need to start lifting heavy weights. That's going to really help me. I need to start having protein with every meal. Women do not have enough protein. No. 1 gram per pound, please. Protein with every meal. I talk a lot about it on Instagram. I'm like, before you go to bed, protein stabilizes blood sugar. It's a good thing. Protein with every meal, making sure you're paying attention to what's going on in your body, because I want to be a super powerful 70, 80-year-old with autonomy that I can do my own things. I don't want to be somebody who has to be completely reliant on my daughter to take care of me. Right. And it's up to me how I'm operating in the world and how I'm taking care of my health. Right. So, and if I can give that message to women and make them feel like they're not alone and make them understand, oh, I'm not going crazy right now. Okay. This is my hormones are changing. And getting blood panels. That's another big thing. Go get your blood work done. Find out where you're at. And de-villainizing, HRT and hormone replacement, and educating women to do what's best for them, because a lot of them are still scared. You have to do what's best for you. And that's different for everybody. So there is no right or no wrong, whether you want to do hormone replacement, whether you don't. Either way, you have to have do
what's best for you.
Knowledge. You have to have the knowledge, because that will empower you to make the choices that is best for you. Right. So that's a big part of my messaging, is because a lot of women are scared, they don't know what's happening. Right. All of a sudden their whole body's changing.
I think it depends what the age group you're in. I think your daughter probably doesn't realize it right now, but it's going to be in a good spot, because if you're open to talking about things, you can fix shit. The problem with most things in life, especially if you get older generations and like go to our parents, well, if you just closed your eyes and didn't talk about it, therefore it wasn't happening and everything went away. Yeah, that's sure not happening. Just so we're all clear, it's that doesn't work. Like you have to kind of battle through things. And I think sometimes, if you get everybody, you get 10 people in a room and 11 people have the problem. Like I think some people don't understand. You're not alone. It's typically the whole freaking room plus a few others that are doing the same issues.
There is for sure. And I mean, the other thing too is I believe, I have incredible supplements. So that also helps too. So you're giving them all the tools they need. And then you're like, and I've also got this incredible, perimenopause product that's going to support you while you're in this time right now. And then in that, they have that QR code that they can scan and take all the information that I've just told them, and they can take it home with them. So they have that. So
let's go down that slide for a minute, because we want to talk about you and your product line too. So you started off with the boric acid.
No, I actually started off with adrenals because that's what was yeah. So we did
another thing that most don't talk about. That's
So we started off with stress support, so sleep and stress support. We have 13 SKUs on the market, I think now. So stress support, then we have sleep support. Then I did my hormonal support product, Reclaim, which is hormonal and perimenopause. It is my favorite child, just don't tell the others, of the bunch. It's made such a profound difference in my life. We have a water retention product, metabolism support product. And then around the time after Reclaim, I think it was, that's when we had the boric acid. And that's my whole story about the cheating ex. I took rock bottom into revolution. And that's what designed boric acid, which we did Up and Away. And that's what we won Launchpad with in 2023, I think it was. Yeah, because I did Dragon's Den in 2022. And it was shortly after that's when I did Launchpad. So, and that's what I won for Up and Away. And then they've just kept kind of rolling down the pipeline. We just did a PCOS product, and it's a blood sugar support product. And we're doing our latest product. I can tell you about it because now we're doing it. The labels are going. We have Lady Bits Vulva Cream coming. Cannot wait for that one. So really looking at moisturizing the outside for the ladies. It's 100% natural, which is even more exciting. And so that one's going to be launched in March. And then we have You Got This stress support that's coming as well.
Oh,
so
cool.
Another support product. Yeah, I have fun with the names. So we really try to, I don't want just the typical like stress less, or I really want something that's going to kind of make people like pay attention for a second and take a look. So yeah, so we have all of them.
Normal, right? Again, it's what normal people go through.
Yeah, it is. And really, and the big thing with the vulva cream for me was we have a menopause product coming as well. We had some hiccups with our NPN, so we refiled NPN, which is a fun process. But in that, I wanted to launch.
I'm sorry, I went blind for just 1 second.
Yeah.
Did you say something about Health Canada? Because I
did. They're awesome. No,
they're lovely.
They're super frustrating to deal with, and I have so many stories about them. But nonetheless,
okay, that's a book. That's a book everybody can write.
I know, right? We should have that. But in that, I was going to launch it with my menopause product called No Pause. And we've had some hiccups with it, but I think that the Lady Bits Vulva Balm, to me, creating the conversation that this is normal and this is okay. And if you have vaginal dryness, it's okay. And also we have antimicrobials in there too to help with yeast infections. So I think it's something that, to me, it's about opening up the conversation.
Right.
It's not, and making it just a completely normal conversation. The same as, guys are like, oh, I have a little blue pill. Okay, well, we have vaginal dryness, and that's just, so what? And having some fun with it and creating more conversations. That's really what I'm after with doing the brand, is creating it to make things more normal.
Do you find it getting, do you find the conversations getting easier and better? Like, I'm assuming how long have you been doing this now?
I've been in the industry for 20 years.
For 20 years, in your own brand?
This is our fifth. This is my fifth birthday this year. Yeah.
Very cool. Congratulations too.
Yeah.
But when you're talking, like I'm assuming when you were talking to your mom, 10, 15 years ago, I'm assuming, you've probably just chipped away at her. The poor woman's probably thinking, there's nothing to hide anymore.
Please,
we can talk about anything.
Do whatever you want to do. Stop talking to me about
that's
it.
hard on every generation. The younger they get, and the next 10 generations, beyond, we'll probably talk more about everything, but it's hard, right? Because you're dealing with, we just didn't talk about things. That's not, you were the only one. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Do a couple prayers, maybe take some herbal something, and in theory it should go away. And if it doesn't, just pretend it's not there, and then it'll go away.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And I think there is it's especially perimenopause. I started doing the perimenopause talk exactly a year ago. And what really actually made it kind of explode was Nick Swear. So Joanna Griffin from Nick Swear.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's every female entrepreneur's dream of what to do with a company. I know she's on my vision board. But she launched a whole campaign surrounding perimenopause right when I was doing my talks out in Ontario in the fall. And all of a sudden registration just went like this. Like, it's my most sought after talk.
Awesome.
I just finished my navigating perimenopause manual that I'm going to have available for free on the website, so women can download it and read the manual and print it off and use it at their discretion to really support women going through this time, to recognize you're not alone. It's totally cool. And you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, right? So really kind of creating that community. So yeah, so it's fun. It's great. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen as we continue to grow. I think it's just peeling,
She'll be back in a minute, everybody. Just hang tough. We may lose her and then she'll just sign back on.
I think what she's doing is kind of awesome. And
I just think, what's kind of cool. And again, and maybe because we're just a little older, and I know that, you just know this conversation has never happened before.
This is so weird. I don't know why.
That's okay. We just tell everybody she's gone. She'll be back in a minute. We'll just keep talking for a short.
Too much energy. Between the three of us, it's overloading your systems. Is what it's doing.
Maybe that's
we're super excited to have you. And then we're just talking about how.
So we do keep talking when you're gone, right? Just so you know, we just rattle on.
I think we just love. I think one is, because we've had brands on who are trying to do some of the things you're doing and are doing some of the things you're doing. But I think that the more energy we bring to this, and I love your fresh take, because I think the one thing that you do seem to take everywhere you go is to be able to open the curtains on everything and just kind of go, like, everyone goes, we should talk better. I'm not making eye contact, but we should talk about this stuff. It should be clear. And you're kind of like, look, I see it. Like, this is like, it's just to open the curtains. Let's just talk about it. Right. Like, and I think that's really fresh to us, because I think that's something that I think it really lends to your brand, for example. And then I think it lends to the way you kind of cover these topics, which we really love. So,
well, being a rep in this industry for as long as I have, I go into a lot of the sports stores, right? So a lot of the common, bodybuilder type stores. And when I launched Up and Away, I made it a point of telling every 18-year-old guy who is behind the till all about vaginal pH, because most of the time women think it's them. And I thought, this is going to, because I know when it happened to me, and all the women I talked to, when there was a smell or what things were off, they thought it was them. They're like, oh my God, I'm dirty. Something's wrong with me. And so in that, educating young guys to really understand, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, women's vagina is super acidic. It's like a 3.5. We go up to a 4.5. That's a yeast infection. It's discomfort, discharge, not fun. Higher, then it becomes, bacterial vaginosis. I said, but the interesting thing is male sperm is like a 9. So when we have unprotected sex, it's all you guys who are throwing us off.
Exactly.
So and and women love that too. They're like, see, it's the guys. I'm like, it's all their fault. So
well, listen, for most of the time you are just fine. And then you put something inside it and everything goes haywire, but it's you and not us. Because that makes a whole lot of sense, right? Like,
You gotta remember though too, it's the whole industry's changed a lot too. If we were doing this, it's funny because we've talked about this on the podcast. I bought FemHigh. Like I know a shit ton about FemHigh, right? Because it's been my issue since 13 or 12. But I bought the category. I made the decisions on what we're going to be in the store for you to buy, obviously based on the other people. But most of the people pitching to me were men. Yeah. Right. Most of the cosmetics industry are run by men. Yeah. Not main user, but so you know what I mean? So I think what's really changed a lot that I've seen, because I've been doing this for way too long, is definitively the fact that, and I don't know why it took so long, but finally more women having their own businesses, doing their own thing, like you, and like we can name so many people. We've been fortunate to have a lot of them on. Has really started to change, not just the industry, but obviously the other part of the industry, which is the consumer side, because you're developing products that you guys don't have a lot of men in the way to you just do your own shit. How do I go to tell you about menopause?
Yeah, no, it's true. And there's,
I mean, I can do the math maybe and the science, and I can but I don't go through it. I don't know really what I mean, I can watch and you're just trying to be sympathetic, but I can't tell
I
you.
read all the brochures. Like, I don't understand. What's the problem, Kenny? Like, what?
I don't know. I mean, there's so much to read, Phil. You think I'd be smarter. Apparently I'm not that bright. But I do think it's what's changed. What's been really good is the fact that finally, especially in our industry, CPG in general, it's the playing field is becoming a lot better because you're getting people that can actually speak to.
Yeah, no, that is true. But there still is. I mean, let's be honest. There still is a huge disparity. Oh my God, we just keep friggin'.
Oh, I know. Nope, and we lost her.
Oh, she's gone.
It's okay. She's got a thought. She's coming back. Okay, continue with that.
There is a huge disparity still. I don't know. I need to stand outside with like a coat hanger or something.
No, you're fine. You're good.
But there still is a huge lack of women in the space of ownership. There really is. Yes. I mean, I'm one of maybe 5 women who own supplement companies in Canada. Like, it's a very, very tiny.
Better than it was 5 years ago. It
right?
sucks, but at least it's at
least you're making a difference. And that's the other thing when it comes into Health Canada and comes into the regulations they're trying to put through in the cost recovery. If we think we saw such a tiny amount now, just wait until these costs go through, because I know the regulation or the cost recovery they're proposing right now would have gone through when I was starting my brand. There's no way I would have started it. No. I'm not going to file a $60,000 MPN, which is what most of my MPNs are. Right. And hope to God that I get it. And they're like, oh, and then you don't. And it's like, what? And then not only that, what it's creating right now is people are buying MPNs and creating MPNs like crazy and waiting for this to go through, then to sell them and to resell them, because now there's going to be a market for people who aren't going to want to pay 60,000, but there'll be somebody who has 100 MPNs that they stockpiled. Right. And so then it's like, well, how does that work? Right. Like, so it doesn't,
because
it's like cyber squatting, right? It's like buying
www, right? Yeah, totally is.
But there's no thought, and it typically, because especially this one, and we'll both say it because we've come from the other side.
Yeah,
we know who's driving this bullshit.
Yeah,
right. And when you get multi-billion-dollar multinationals that fear these little markets, that if they just spent 10 minutes and learned it and put the money, because they got more money than God anyway,
I know
they could actually make a change on this planet instead of trying to stifle.
Yeah, I know.
The full innovation that comes out of these categories. Buy the companies if you're so scared. My God, do anything. Just don't do what you're doing.
I'm open to offers. Come on.
Trust me. There's a whole bunch of you. Not yet though, because you guys need. I always say
I need time to percolate.
Yeah, and get it bigger and really broad, because they will screw it up.
Yeah. No, I like the Joanna Nix model. I like the idea of staying on board and having somebody like investment come in who really has the capital to take everything to the next level.
We'll let you be you.
Help you blow it up.
That's on my vision board right there.
There's a lot of hope, right? Because we've had you on, we've had Cheryl Grant on, and then we've also had Kenny, help me. Kidstar.
Ask me. I don't remember.
Caitlin Van
we have on.
Yeah, Caitlin Vanderhay. Like we've had you guys are smarter.
And I've known Lorna for years too. Like it's just
right.
Nice
we just like looking at you guys. Like you guys are killing it, and we love it. Right. Like we can't wait to see where you guys take us. Right. Is what I think. So Health Canada just needs to get out of the way so we can actually let some smarter people do this right.
It's such a waste of energy and time, and you
money.
Just think about it, and like, what a waste when this could have been put to something of good use. I mean, government time and money put to waste doing this.
All of it.
It's a lot of other issues we could be working on than this. Natural health products that have never hurt anybody. I mean, let's be honest. I've never heard of anybody ODing on vitamin C. So I mean,
pee it out, for crying out loud. Like be serious.
Yeah. So it
maybe
really
turn
is
a slightly different color if you ate too much of it, but not really.
Beta carotene, definitely be a little bit orange for sure.
Right, but even then,
But even then, you know what? You got to glow. Just go with it.
Nobody's like, I'm ending everything and like,
Yeah.
vitamin C. Nobody's like, we found him with a vitamin C bottle
on
the floor.
It was tragic. It was $1.99 bottle.
I think it's amazing what you're doing. So
thank you.
No, and I think it's good. I think there needs to be more of you. So if you can inspire, I mean, even the kids in the car, like, I know your daughter's going to hate all this because she probably gets tired of being talked on, but you know what? But all of them will be the ones they'll be sitting there thinking, well, she's doing it. She's not scared. You know what I mean? You'll just, you inspire a whole group of people. That's the only way this is going to change.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and the only reason more women are going to come into these industries that are dominated still, unfortunately, by men is that just have more women come into these industries.
Yeah, exactly. And making a difference. And
make a difference. You're doing your thing. I mean, you're going to resonate. You're going to be able to sell menopause product better than most.
Yeah. And I think that's, and especially with women, I mean, that's one of the big things is women want to buy from somebody they know. Like we're very communal. We like to kind of, get together and chat with all our friends and tell our girlfriends everything, but we really appreciate that. And so I think when I'm going through it, I'm in perimenopause right now and I'm trying to keep my period as long as I possibly can. Right. And I'm turning 50 this year. And so when I talk to women, I'm like, you can be turning 50. You could I plan on glowing up like J-Lo. I am not glowing down. I'm glowing up, girlfriend. Absolutely. So let's all glow up. Why are we like, well, this is, we look at Golden Girls. I think they were my age back then. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And that's changed. So who do you want to be? And I think women also in this space, what do we want to create? Who do we want to, what do we want to do for other women as well?
Right.
And then also, and that's such a great example to our young ones too. I know my daughter, she's the one who, sacrifices the most out of me doing this. But, I go to bed excited about the next day and I wake up at 4:00 in the morning and I am excited for this day. Like I love what I do. I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to do in the world and nothing beats that. Nothing beats that. Right?
That's really good.
I have a funny story for you.
Yeah. What?
I've spent half my life in women's health. Easily half my life. Right?
Oh, amazing.
Stay Free, Carefree OB, Monostat, KY Jelly, like all these kind of like crazy women's brands. And then Penny and I did some work for a menopausal brand, not a Canadian one, but we had done some work. And so my wife now is perimenopausal to going menopausal. And I said to her, you got to think about, a bunch of these supplements. They're going to help you, and then she was having a terrible time of it. Right. And I was getting really frustrated because I clearly she didn't want anything I had to say. So I was sending her some stuff like maybe read this or listen to this podcast, these sort of things. And then finally my buddy called and said, listen, you know a lot about menopause. And I was like, I know a lot about the products. I don't know if I know anything about menopause. Clearly my wife's not listening to me at all. So, but his wife was like, I want to talk to him. Can you make sure it's not going to be weird? I'm like, it's not going to be weird. I talked to her. So I talked to her and then she was like, this is fucking awesome. She went out and bought a bunch of the things that I said, you should look for these or don't look for these supplements and these sort of things. And then my wife comes home one day and she goes, listen, I bought this stuff. And I was like, that's awesome. So I'm thinking, if I listen to something I said, and then she was like, so, our friends? She told me about this product. And I was like, are you ever?
I'm so happy.
Listen, the solution was there. That's all that counts.
So I resonate with that. I think women want to hear from women. They don't care that we might know something or we might not know something.
Listen, I
don't blame them at all, right? Like, I don't have to go through it. Like, what would I know, right? I know what I read, right? But
you should do that. I don't want to get my car fixed by the vet. I don't care what the vet's going to tell me. I want a mechanic. That's why I go to the mechanic. But you know what I mean? So it's got to be personal. And these things are very personal. Your body is doing body things.
Yeah. Well, it's just shifting, changing, right? And all of a sudden.
Exactly. And I can't walk you through it. I mean, again, all we could, and this is what's good about it too, and why it's even better to have more women in these industries. You're going to soften my son. You'll soften me, and you'll make us be a little bit more, hopefully, thoughtful. Because we're not trying to be disrespectful or unthoughtful. It's just, I don't know what the hell you're going through.
Yeah.
we don't
I'm
know.
sorry,
Either.
I don't know, and I'm trying to find a fix. Is what we typically try to do, and maybe we should shut up and not do a fix. But there's not a lot in the toolbox.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's what it really comes down to. I think a lot of women have to make lifestyle changes. They can't be eating the same way they did in their 20s. They can't.
No.
You really have to start taking a look at, you want something to be different, you want it to be different, but you're not willing to put the habits in place to kind of make things different, right? And then, I mean, we've had great results of people buying Reclaim and just taking Reclaim. They've been like, oh my God, best thing ever. Periods are normal. It feels so great. This is awesome.
Awesome.
But then I'm like, but if you do the other stuff too, like just imagine, what you're going to do if you do the other stuff too. So,
but it'll come. It'll get there because sooner or later something's not going to. It'll hit a plateau or not do what you want it to do, and you'll have to do some of. But at least you're there to support, and your friends are there, right? Yeah, and all the friends you keep are there. So again, you're building the network. At least I've got somewhere to go. To hopefully get some help.
To have a conversation. It's very, very it is exciting. It's going to be, I think this is going to be a fantastic year. I mean, I've been in the industry for 20 and this is my first all in with Aeryon Wellness. I worked a full-time job up to this for another supplement brand. So I did them both.
Wow.
And so
this is all you now.
This is all you.
Wow.
So last year I was working, I've been as I said, I've been in the industry for a long time. I did Fit Foods for a bit. Then Norm Daniel stole me from Body Plus, and I was with them for 13 years. I had the great pleasure to work with him and his team. And then when Jameson bought them, Jameson was like, nah, we can get a couple of you to replace your salary. And I knew I wanted out anyways. And they packaged me out. I had to fight them for a bit to get my money. And then I rolled the dice and I went, all right, universe, you seem to have been said, all right, you've been asking for this, Aeryon. Here you go. Here's some money. Here's your freedom. And I'm like, oh shit. Now this means I have to do this. Rolled the dice and started Aeryon Wellness. But I knew I had to stay somewhat in this industry because we can have a transient industry. We can have people kind of moving through and managers and store staff, floor staff. So I took a position as a somewhat broker with Prairie Naturals and worked with them for 3 years. And they allowed me to work and to also create my own brand.
That's
and
awesome.
Then it's finally time for me to leave the nest because it was managing 150 stores for them and then all of Canada for myself.
Right.
It was a little overwhelming and I was missing things, right? Things got missed. And so I made the decision and it's been the best decision I've ever made. So
people want to find you, Aeryon. Like, where are they going? Natural Health Channel? Like most of the natural health stores?
We are we're in about 500 stores across Canada. We're on Amazon.ca. We are on, so you are buying from Aeryon Wellness or a approved Aeryon Wellness vendor because we only have 3 of us on there, on Amazon.ca. We're on direct to consumer. We're in the States as well. We've launched into the US. We have 4 products down there. Our 5th one, Reclaim, is hitting the market in the next little bit on Amazon.com. And then I welcome everybody to sign up to our newsletter. Our newsletter, we're going to be launching the Navigating Perimenopause Manual, if that's something that interests your listeners. But the newsletter is constantly updating people on new products we have coming out, giving them a chance to be front of the line, to buy that new product and see what it is. So I welcome them to check out the newsletter, www.aeryonwellness.com. So it's AERYON. So it's different.com. Awesome. And then Instagram and Facebook. You can stalk me. I don't mind.
And if they want to ask you some questions or give some LinkedIn is a good place if it's more of a businessy side.
Yeah. Business size. LinkedIn's a great one. Yep. And and you can always reach out. We welcome any questions we answer as quick as possible. I also have another webinar. I do monthly webinars as well through the website. Awesome. So we're doing one on hormones and weight loss this February 20th. So
awesome.
Wow. Yeah. And then if you want to find out about Friends You Should Keep, you should also go check out her podcast, Friends You Keep.
Friends You Keep.
I'm going to listen to it because I'm excited now. I'm interested in whole bunch of thes. So
the sober living one's a good one too. So she has like 120,000 followers and has a whole sober living coaching business, which is really cool, which is great for January because I just finished dry January.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
I kind of like the Alex one too. I just think it's really cool that
so you're gonna be at CHFA.
I will be at CHFA. I'll be in the Purity Pavilion. Yeah. I'm handing out Taylor Swift bracelets. I hand out gifts every year. Last year we had flower tiaras. I don't know if you saw any of the flower tiaras.
Oh, I
walking
saw
around. That was
flower
me.
tiaras. I was
That was
wondering where
me.
they're coming from.
That was me. And the year before that, we had princess tiaras. That was me too.
Oh,
This year we have Taylor Swift bracelets. They're not like these ones, but we have Go Be Brilliant is what I tell my daughter. I have it tattooed on. We have Go Be Brilliant. You are smart. You are loved. You're kind. So they're really kind of falling in line to the thoughts you think. So yeah, stop by and get a bracelet.
we should
We may.
the other thing we should do is because the other podcasters will be there too. So we'll be there for sure, and then you'll be there, and then our friends Justin and Alex will be there. I am so bad with names today.
We'll be there.
Justin and Alex run what? Oh, why am I looking at Kenny? Kenny's not going to help.
Like seriously, though, he does all the time. Do you remember why?
Hearts and Cards.
First,
Hearts
do
and
you
Cards.
remember should be more than enough to start the conversation with me.
So Hearts and Cards, Justin Osborne and Alex Hill from Hearts and Cards will be at CHFA as well. So we'll have a bit of a meeting of the podcasters, which would be kind of cool.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah,
That would
that's
be
very
very
cool.
fun.
I'm like, I think I'm 7:30. I'm always the same booth. I'm always like, I have the corner. You can't miss it. I'm like the corner.
Well, we'll come down. We'll come down and find you
We'll
for sure.
come down.
We're there
Yeah.
for the 3
For sure.
days. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Be
gonna be interesting during the week this time. So we'll
yeah,
see.
it's gonna be. We were talking to even Aaron Lindsay about that too. I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out. I mean, I know it's like everything. You put on the weekend, people complain. But in the week, people complain. You put in the evenings, people complain. But in the morning, people complain.
Listen,
Well,
we're
I
retail people. We complain. That's what we do.
I think what we're going to see is there's going to be different attendees because
100%.
and that's something a lot of the retailers have said to me is the staff who were able to come on the weekend are now able to come during the week, and they're excited because they get to come. Right?
And you know what? How cool would it be to have some different eyes?
Yeah, right. So, and I think we'll always have the usual suspects that will show up. So,
100%. It's the same people. And
yeah. And then Friday, and then the best part is we still get our weekend. So I'm not going to be exhausted by the time Monday rolls around, but we could actually, have a good time Friday night and have some drinks and not have to worry about, because Sunday you never, let's be honest, Sunday you're way too bagged. But
you're tired. Sundays you're just done.
Right. Friday might be like, you know what? Let's go to the pack room and have some drinks. I'm game.
Yeah. Yeah. Might not be the worst thing, right?
Exactly. So
Best
cool.
thing. Yeah.
well, thanks
to have on. Thank you for doing
Thank
this
you
for us.
for coming on. This has been amazing.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glad you guys had me on. I appreciate it a lot. Anytime.
If you get more new news and you want to be able to talk about it somewhere, hit us back up. We do.
Oh my God! Without pausing, I need to buy a new.
Did we lose you again?
No,
Can you hear?
Well, she was there.
We lost her.
Oh, and then we lost her again.
One last thing. Any second now, she'll come
And
There she is.
possibly get like a new server while I'm at it.
back. Listen, you're only solving part of the world's problems. Could you please get on this one? Because I don't understand what you're doing over there. You clearly have enough time. So
I'm sleeping for 6 hours, so obviously I need to let that go and
Well,
get
seriously.
into the whole tech realm.
Okay. So last thing is, if you have new news or there's a topic you want to talk about, hit us up. We've got a YouTube channel. We do shorts. So we do kind of like 15-minute thoughts. So it's kind of a great place to jump on. We've had folks come on and kind of tell us when they've had big news, like they've gotten listed nationally,
or a new product,
things like
something
that, or a new
new,
product.
whatever.
So anytime you got that, hit us up and then we'll grab you and throw you on.
That'd be great. Yeah, Lady Bits will be a fun one. Everybody's very excited about Lady Bits. That's what I have to say. What's interesting is that there was a Harmony, Martin and Pleasance just brought theirs over from New Zealand. But so I was in Vitamin Shop because I was on the island seeing stores. And Betty's like, you need to take a look at this. It's so funny you're talking about Lady Bits because they just brought this in. But when we looked at it, I mean, I said to her, I'm like, I hate to be mean, but I can't pronounce half of the things in this thing. And she's like, that's what we said. And then we looked at the bottom. I'm like, they manufactured, it was produced in 2021. I go, it expires in 2030. that's a long time to put down your, Lady Bits.
Lady Bits.
And then ours are going to be about a year and a half tops, right? So we're going to have a shorter
natural. It's pretty much
100% natural.
Yeah, it's
right?
tough to stand, right?
So I think that's going to be a real, and every retailer, like I just saw them at the Purity 40th year tabletop that they just had. And like everybody, they're just even telling them, they're like, as soon as you get this, you send it to me and we are listing it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, this is going to, I think it might be,
just you know, so
Moisturize.
anytime that you want to come on and talk about your lady bits, you're more than welcome.
That's all
Talk
good.
about vulvas. Be
Yeah.
like vulvas.
That's all good. You can bring your daughter on too. I'm sure she'd be thrilled to
I'm
have two
sure
old
she
men
would
talk to her.
love it.
She would be just
mortified.
We could do a PowerPoint on it. She would just be
100%.
like,
Oh my god.
here we are.
Let us explain to you.
Exactly. See, I'm thinking, I missed this launch pad, but I could get everybody to scream vulva. People seem to just love, genital screaming. So
Whatever makes them happy.
exactly. So
Love it.
awesome. Thank you guys
you.
so much.
Thanks
so
very
much.
much.
Have a fantastic day.
You
Oh,
too.
You too.
You too.
Enjoy the
Thursday,
weather.
fantastic
Looks like we
weekend.
finally have
I
sun.
will. It looks like we have.
I don't know what
little
Phil's
sun.
getting in Ontario, but we definitely have sun in the.
I'm
on
starting
the
to
Oh,
get-
you're in Vancouver. I didn't know you're from
Yeah.
Vancouver.
I'm
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Oh,
East
I
west,
didn't
I'm
know
east.
I'm an East fan.
Oh, are you? Okay, that makes sense. Well, I'm in Kits. Hey, neighbor.
Okay.
We're
Awesome.
close. Actually, Cheryl lives like 2 blocks away from me.
Oh, that's hilarious, right?
Yeah, like she
That's
lives like
hilarious.
literally. I could probably see her condo from here. That's how close she
Wow.
lives.
Oh my God, I didn't realize that. I didn't know she lived in Kits.
Yeah, she lives in Kits. Yeah, we're all close. Awesome.
Amazing.
Very cool.
Thank you guys.
You enjoy your
Thank
day.
you.
Phil. You hang on.
I will. Take care. Bye.
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 She's like
Very
a
cool.
whole world of energy. Just
Holy Christ. You kidding me?
yeah.
I was asleep before I got on this one. Now I'm kind of
Yeah.
wide awake.
I'm wide awake now too. Okay.
Cool, man.
This will take some editing, but we'll get her out there. This is a cool episode, so yeah, it'll be good.
Well, even the breaks in between, though, you can just run through them. Because all the
No,
stops.
no, I'll cut out a chunk of them. Like there's a chunk that we can cut out for sure, but
Yeah, whatever.
but it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It was a good podcast. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too.
I really did. I enjoyed that.